What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time Late Night Edition. Sometimes we call it the Quiet Storm. We got TJ in the house. What up, TJ?
Doing well, ready to dive in. I was tired, didn't sleep much last night, but the music has woken me up. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and happy to dive into this small little MLB slate. I swear I'm so used to either producing and being the analyst or hosting and doing something else now that I'm just on like handling tournaments, and that's it. I feel like I'm just chilling, hanging out, talking baseball with my friends.
Yeah, you've got like half a job today. You're used to like 2.5 You've only got half of one job today. We're excited to have you. Pretty quick show, 30 minutes until lock. I know you didn't sleep much. You haven't slept much. New baby, other things, but happy that you could join us, and we're going to knock it out. It's going to be a good one, TJ. Thank you for your energy.
Of course, I'm ready to dive in. I always am tired before shows, and as soon as we start, I'm good to go.
We got Ice again, Keith Eister, aka the Iceman. We were hanging out, I don't know, 6 hours ago or so, and we're back at it. How did the early slate go, and how are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, back for round two. I said I would not be surprised if Pablo Lopez struck out 10 Mariners, and that is exactly what he did. I was surprised, however, that Logan Gilbert got blown up for 8 runs by the Twins, who I had none of. So mixed results, but we're back at it for round two here tonight.
Okay, very good. Hoosiers Hang Banners, who I typically really like in the YouTube chat, says, I'm over this Jalen Brunson guy enough. So if we could just get the ban hammer and just immediately and permanently ban him, that would be great. I would appreciate it. No Jalen Brunson besmirching is allowed here on my watch. Guys, I need to say something. I just have to kind of like clear the air on something. I am so damn good at this weather thing. I am just absolutely crushing. It's a late start. I thought it was going to be a late start. Chicago just announced a late start. They're still going to play. I just don't. And honestly, it's not even me. How are forecast models this good? Where when I wake up at 5 a.m. and I forecast, this is exactly what it freaking shows, like 18 hours away. I'm just so impressed by the state of meteorology and with myself, apparently, as well. Anyways, the game's going to be fine. It's going to late start. It's going to play. I don't expect any in-game delays anywhere. So really, I think weather is not going to be much of an issue. Does that work for y'all?
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. And we must acknowledge your extreme awesomeness at what you do. So thank you, Kevin.
Man, I just feel like I'm slaying. I just feel like I'm getting better every year at this. And I've been doing it for 10 freaking years. So I'm really, and by the way, anytime I've ever felt this way, I absolutely butcher the next day's forecast. So like, just be ready. Tomorrow is going south. But anytime I start feeling invincible, the weather finds a way to humble me really quick. But yeah, it's been a good run.
Get yourself the confidence that Kevin Roth has in his weather reports. Literally one day after he had to do 3 weather reports for one PGA tournament.
I forgot how bad I screwed that up yesterday. That's true.
I'm kidding though. I agree with you. Like literally over the last 2.5 seasons, you're batting like near perfect with weather.
It's been a good run. Thank you. It's been a good run. Hopefully we can keep it going. Again, every time I start feeling high on myself, I tend to F something up. Hopefully that will not be the case. But let's dive into this slate, guys. We've got 26 minutes here until we hit lock. Talk me through what we've got, what's happening. Ice, if you want to give me an overall rundown and then launch into pitchers, that would be great.
Yeah, another short 3-gamer here. Not quite as obvious as the morning slate was, but as we saw, Minnesota was kind of the team that you needed when we were saying that they were one of the teams facing one of the best pitchers on the slate. So anything can happen in baseball. It's 3 games. Don't be afraid to do crazy things. Our number 1 pitcher on this slate is very clear and obvious, much in the way that Pablo Lopez was on the early slate. Sonny Gray is standing out for certain. His matchup is not quite as good as Pablo Lopez's was. Milwaukee's actually been well above average offense, top 3, in fact, by WRC+. So they do strike out a little bit, and Sonny Gray has been absolutely incredible. He is by far the most talented pitcher on this slate. A little bit of concern about the matchup, but compared to what the other options are on the slate, Sonny Gray is very clearly in a tier of his own up at the top. It gets pretty dicey if you go down from there. I would say, in my opinion, the next most talented pitcher is Reed Detmers. The matchup against Kansas City is not great. They've been slightly below average overall on offense, but they don't strike out all that much. Detmers does have a really solid strikeout rate on the season. He's up at about 26.5%. So I think if you're looking for upside in tournaments, that's the option I would look at. A little bit safer option, I would say, is Ben Lively. Not a name that a lot of us have heard much over the past couple of years. He pitched overseas for a few seasons, and now he's back here for Cleveland. But he gets a matchup against the White Sox. His strikeouts have been excellent this year. He's up at 28.5%. The underlying stuff I'm seeing there, his strikeout rate is his swinging strike rate rather is under 10%. I'm not quite buying 28% strikeouts here for Ben Lively. So I think Detmers has a little bit more upside, even though his matchup is much more difficult. But I think Lively is the quote unquote safer option just because of the matchup against the White Sox here. But certainly don't be afraid to stack White Sox on a 3-game slate. It's definitely a better option, I would say, than what the Twins were on the early slate, and we saw what they did. So Lively is certainly in play, though. Fetty is an interesting case, another guy who pitched overseas for a couple of seasons. He found a bunch of strikeouts over in Korea, but hasn't necessarily translated those back to the States here. And the Guardians don't strike out all that much. So really tough matchup here for Eric Fetty. Waka is not somebody I generally target in DFS. His matchup is pretty good here against the Angels, though. He's just not a big strikeout guy. He's a little bit susceptible to power. And then Tobias Myers is the other guy on the slate, and nothing really to be excited about there, below average strikeout guy. But yeah, that's pretty much the rundown of every pitcher on the slate. Clearly the top option is Sonny Gray. Reed Detmers would be my favorite for tournaments as a pivot.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Maryi Doneasy says, hey, can I get an update on the Chicago game? Yeah, if you missed it off the top, there's a late start in Chicago. I fully expect they will play. Like, I'm not even very worried about it. So yeah, I expect they're going to play. TJ, let's kind of dive into your thoughts here with pitchers. Are you going overweight on Sonny Gray? Is that even possible, or is literally everybody playing him?
It's very difficult to do, but I will be overweight, actually. I'm playing 20 lineups today. There weren't any. I usually do a 150 in the various mini maxes, whether it be 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, but I didn't really like any of them today, so I just did 20 teams in something bigger, and then a single entry as well. And I have Sonny Gray in 18 of those 20 teams.
Nice.
In the 2 that I don't are 5-man Milwaukee stacks. I even have one team that has Sonny Gray and a 5-man Milwaukee stack. Because it's a 3-game slate, anything could happen. Sonny Gray could pitch 5 or 6 great innings, and then Milwaukee could score 4 runs on the bullpen, and that could be enough to win on this slate. So I like the idea of pairing them together. But I'm playing Sonny Gray in almost every single lineup. Ben Lively is going to be my second highest owned guy. I have about 50% of him. Waka, Harris, Detmers, Fetty, just 15 to 25% of all of them today. Some of them look a little bit better than the others. Like Fetty doesn't look super great today, but we know he's got a ceiling. He's shown it this year, and it's a 3-game slate. Anybody can happen, so I'll keep all of them in the pool.
Okay, great. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it, but Gator Nation, right before you said you're playing Gray and Brewers, said Gray gets 30 fantasy points before the Brewers put up 8 runs on the Cards bullpen, which is pretty much your exact mentality.
Yeah, exactly. I even did one. I just did the $4 20 entry max, but I threw in one team that Brewers and Gray stack. I threw it in the $15 25K to first one just because that'll be probably the lowest owned way you can play Sonny Gray. So just in case that happens, I did throw that in the high dollar up top GPP.
I love it. Good stuff. Let's talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks. It seems to me like the only pitcher you guys don't want to really roll the dice on is whoever the heck Tobias Myers is, which makes me think maybe that is where we're stacking. But I don't know that to be true. So why don't you walk me through what your thoughts are, TJ?
So I do have 10% Tobias Myers for what it's worth. So he's in 2 of my 20 lineups. The heck just happened there?
Was that an animal or just a thing that fell?
I think that might have just been things that are falling because I don't see my cat behind me.
I was going to say, you never know. Shadow is, slinking around back there.
Usually that'd be him, but I think that was just things falling.
Okay.
And so stacks today, it's Kansas City, a pretty clear number 1 for me. They're at the top margin by a lot, whether it's a 3-man stack, 4-man stack, 5-man stack. How many of my highest owned batters today? 1, 2, 3, 4. My 4 highest owned bats are all Kansas City Royals: Perez, Velasquez, Witt, and Garcia. After that, I would put the Angels, the Guardians, and the Cardinals as my kind of tier 2, with Milwaukee and the White Sox being the tier 3. But it's a 3-game slate, so you absolutely can full stack, mini stack any of the teams on this slate. I would rank them Kansas City 1, Cleveland 2, St. Louis 3, LA 4, Milwaukee 5, White Sox 6. Well, White Sox 5, Milwaukee 6. But I still think Milwaukee is very viable.
Okay, very good. Ice, talk to me about your favorite stacks.
Yeah, no team has a total over 4.25 runs, so like they're all pretty bunched together. Like we're grasping at straws for some offense. It's part of the reason why some of these mediocre pitchers are in play. Like Lively is not a guy I would really ever play on a main slate. So offense is kind of tough to find on this slate. My favorite would be the Guardians against Fedde, in particular the lefties from Cleveland. I don't mind Kansas City against Detmers, even though I'm playing a decent amount of Detmers. Even stacking like mini stacks against him, I think is totally fine. The Cardinals are where I'm going next. They have been brutal on offense this season. They're getting a little bit healthier, which I think certainly helps. We've also seen slow starts from guys like Goldschmidt, who we expect to rebound and be just fine. But I'd have the Cardinals in there next. The Angels against Waka have some decent pieces. I don't really love them as a full stack, but picking out a couple of power bats like Ohapi at catcher or Adele in the outfield is totally fine. And then White Sox and Brewers would be bringing up the tail for me as well.
Okay, very good. I think we got to go around the horn. Let's start with the catcher position. If you hear screaming in the background, it's just my children. It's a late show. It's nearly bedtime. Things go downhill. So I'm going to try to keep on the mute button as best I can. But Ice, walk me through a little catcher talk.
Yeah, so some decent options here for a small 3-game slate. Salvador Perez is one of the top hitting catchers in baseball. Certainly like him against a lefty. Logan Ohapi is one of the Angels that I don't mind. Waka certainly will give up power to both sides of the plate. And then the price tag for Bo Naylor looks really good. And Cleveland is my favorite stack. He also swings from the left side like I'm looking for.
TJ, catcher?
Yeah, catcher position today. Sorry, I was just adjusting the lineup. I forgot where I was for a second. I thought I was listening to a show, not on the show. I have Salvador Perez in 55% of my lineups today, and then nobody in more than 10%. So loading up on Perez, and then Contreras and Ohapi are my 2 10%ers, and everybody else is only in stacks. My one favorite guy to take a shot on for tournaments outside of Perez would probably be Gary Sanchez.
All right, how about first base?
Kyle Manzardo, cheapie for Cleveland. 2,100. I'll let Keith go in depth because I see that he has him tagged today, but he's my highest owned guy at first base, going with a punt route. Gavin Sheets next. Again, Keith mentioned the lefties against Fedde. I like that today. And then, you know what? Like, it's a gross slate, and I don't like any of the offenses, but I do genuinely like almost all of the first basemen today. Manzardo, Sheets, Burleson, Hoskins, Naylor, all 5 of those I like quite a bit. And then I don't even mind including Pasquantino, Bowers, or Chanel in my stacks as well.
Ice, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. Naylor up top looks really good as a lefty against Fedde. Sheets to save some money is an outstanding option against Lively. Manzanardo is a big-time prospect for Cleveland, basically a hitter only. So he's not high up in like top 100 prospect rankings, but I believe he's around 4th or 5th in the Guardians organization. Has some pop to his bat, should be a really good hitter. he's near minimum price, and lefties against Fetty are the target here. So getting a cheap option. I don't love that he's down in the 9 hole, but for a guy that cheap with as much power as he projects to have, certainly a great option. And then Burleson for the Cardinals is another guy I have a bunch of.
It's kind of nice to have like, it makes it, him in the 9 hole to me actually makes it kind of easy to have a correlated mini stack with Cleveland because they have Rocchio batting first. Yep. And so just like doing that with Jose Ramirez and or Jimenez is something I really like doing today.
Okay,
yeah,
good note.
Definitely agree.
Okay, second base, Ice.
Yeah, so Andres Jimenez is the Guardians guy here. He's also a lefty. He is really cheap on FanDuel. He'll be super popular on both sides, but especially on FanDuel where he is really cheap. Gorman is a guy that I keep chasing just because he has monster power. It's been a really rough start for him, but I believe he'll turn it around. He was a huge prospect coming up for them, crushed throughout the minors. He's cheap and he's up to the 5 hole today. So certainly like him, and a low strikeout matchup against Myers. So love Gorman for tournaments. Bryce Terang is somebody I don't mind playing against Sonny Gray. He's probably overpriced, but he is leading off for the Brewers and he has that stolen base upside. Also, Michael Massey was not somebody we projected to get the start for the Royals, but glad to see him in there. I did see somebody asked in chat about Detmer's reverse splits. Mm-hmm. He was extremely reverse splitsy last season, not as much this year, but I mean, there's certainly some historical evidence that he may have some reverse splits in there. So we mentioned Pasquantino at first, Massey at second as a lefty guy. I don't mind.
Okay, great. TJ, second base.
Gorman and Jimenez definitely going to be my top 2. I like the Massey call, and then Bryce Terang I just love as a one-off against Sonny Gray today. He's overpriced, but he's the type that could have a really great game without the Brewers even scoring runs because he could do it by singling and stealing bases. So like Terang a lot as a one-off, and then Joey Ortiz as a one-off or part of a Brewers mini stack as a cheapie I like as well. I was going to just take us right to third base, but on a small slate, why would I need to give you the opportunity to say, TJ, take us to third base because it's a small slate, and otherwise we'll be too fast. Yeah,
that's right. Yes. TJ, take us to third base. So that ate a whole nother 15 seconds. It was great.
That was perfect. Michael Garcia is kind of the same as Salvador Perez for me in terms of I have way more of him than anybody else. I got 50% Michael Garcia, which leaves me under on Jose Ramirez, and that terrifies me. But I did bet Jose Ramirez to hit a home run today, so that's kind of how I counteracted that. I got a ton of Garcia, a little bit of Jose Ramirez, and then Arenado and Ortiz are the other 2 guys I like here.
Okay. Third base, Ice?
Yeah, Jose Ramirez, very easily the top option here. Ownership is going to come with that, but it's a fantastic spot for him. Garcia is definitely a guy I prefer against lefties. Probably another guy who's leading off and a little bit overpriced, but certainly don't mind him here in this spot against Detmers. Arenado looks pretty good here at 5K in a low strikeout matchup, and the upside kind of falls off from there. So I think this is a position you're spending up to one of those top 3.
Okay, how about shortstop?
Bobby Witt Jr., another fantastic spend on the slate, gets the matchup against the lefty, has that awesome power and speed combo that we crave in DFS. Brian Rocchio got the leadoff spot today for the Guardians. He is really cheap everywhere, so he's an outstanding option, another lefty against Fetty. Willy Adames is certainly a fine one-off against Sonny Gray. Gray has actually given up more power to righties this year, and Adames is a very talented hitter, so not a great matchup for him, but definitely don't mind taking some shots there.
Okay, TJ, shortstop?
Yeah, Bobby Witt is the shortstop as Jose Ramirez is the third base, just by far the top option here. Witt is my preferred spend-up option of the 2, if I could only afford one of them today. And then Brian Rocchio is the other top option here by far. Anybody else makes you very different. I'm not getting to any Zach Neto, and I only have one Mason Wynn. But Willy Adames and Paul DeJong, I do think are very interesting tournament pivots, and you'll get them at single-digit ownership on a small slate.
Very good. Okay, how about the outfield?
This kind of fits into the outfield position because a lot of the top plays from the team are here, but I want to briefly mention that we still don't have an Angels lineup, and on a 3-game slate, they actually have they're one of the 3 teams with an above 4 total on the board. I think we might see some lower ownership on the Angels because we don't have their lineup yet. And so I think that's an interesting thing to do here at tournaments. We have Moniak, Ward, Calhoun, all three guys that I like here for the Angels in the outfield position. And so imagine that. We're talking about Angels in the outfield, and they don't even have Trout and Ohtani. But I do think they're very interesting in tournaments today, considering they have one of the highest totals on the board and no lineup yet. If we don't get that lineup in the next 10 minutes, I do think that there's a chance that lowers their ownership, especially if we get something a little wonky, like it's not just a normal normal lineup that they give us. Having said that, my highest owned outfielder not named Nelson Velasquez is 25%. I have 25%. Sheets, Jimenez, Pham, Nootbaar, Clarkson, Renfroe, Moniak, Blanco, Donovan, Burleson, all in that range. But Nelson Velasquez, I have 55% of today. So he's my favorite by far.
Okay. Ice, your favorite outfielders?
I really like the Cardinals guys. They're cheap. Lars Nootbaar and Dylan Carlson, Brendan Donovan as well in that leadoff spot. Gavin Sheets for the White Sox, somebody I definitely like. Christian Yelich is back for the Brewers. Certainly don't mind him as a one-off against Sonny Gray. Joe Adell is a one-off I like for the Angels against Waka. Burleson, another one of those Cardinals cheapies. I think that about covered it. Tommy Pham's price is coming up, but he's still playable.
Okay, let's do some home run picks. We'll open it up to some QQs. We've got 9 or so minutes here until lock. Some people asking about the Angels. Why isn't their lineup up? TJ, you're mentioning the game is still 4 hours away.
They've been taking their sweet time since Mike Trout went down too. This has kind of been a daily occurrence for them.
Interesting. Okay.
They're searching really hard to find some talent.
Right. Yeah. They just hope if they put it off long enough, like someone good will manifest themselves. Yeah. Like, no, still doesn't exist. It's still not on the roster. Let's do some home run picks. TJ, I will let you lead off, good sir. If there's something chalky, I don't even know if there's something chalky on the slate. If there is, feel free. And if you want to do something sneaky, you can do that as well.
Well, for what it's, I'll start with not sneaky and with chalky, because there's by far the best home run bet on the slate to me is Bobby Witt at plus 470 on FanDuel. That he should be plus 325, 350 in my opinion. And so he's pretty strong odds anywhere, but plus 470 on FanDuel is ridiculous. So that would be my favorite home run bet. In terms of just guys I think could hit a home run today, I do kind of think we're going to see like a Witt, Velasquez, Perez, all three of them dong today. And then if we're going outside of the Royals, I will say Gavin Sheets and Brendan Donovan.
Okay, Ice, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, I will go as a chalkier one. Give me Josh Naylor, and off the board a little bit and cheaper, give me Joe Adell.
Very good, guys. We're going to open it up to some questions. I'm not seeing any. My kids are absolutely melting down right now. So if we don't get any questions, I'm going to call it. We're just going to bounce out of here before lock. Hopefully we've given you all the info. But if you do have any questions, go ahead, get them in now. Checking the RG Discord, not seeing anything in there. We should note, by the way, never a better time than right now to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. You got all kinds of sports going on, and whatever option you're looking for, we've got something that can fit the bill. You can get yourself a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also get your first month of RG Premium, $40 off at a limited time. And if you want a test run, you can dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass, $19.99. So got some good stuff happening there. Let's start with Brandon's question here. It is a prop question. Ice, I'll give this to you. Detmers under 1.5 walks. Your thoughts?
Let me just look at Kansas City's walk rate here real quick. 8%. Yeah, Kansas City doesn't walk a ton. Detmer's sitting at an 8.5% walk rate on the season. Was at 9% last year. So I think if you're getting positive juice on the under, I'd be okay with it. I think that's the right line, certainly. But if you're getting like plus 120 on under 1.5, then yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Richard says, TJ, am I nuts to play 16 stacks of each team on DK?
No. Like if you want to just split it down the middle, every team equally, I think that's perfectly fine.
Well, all right. A few people pointing out Angels may have some injury stuff, so they're trying to figure out who can go. Can we play 2 batters against one of our pitchers tonight? Are either of you? Well, I mean, TJ, you're
TJ's playing 5.
You're playing 5 batters against one of your pitchers.
I don't know if I feel the need to play any batters against my pitchers other than like mixing in a Milwaukee one. But yes, you still can regardless. I set the rule that I'm okay with having 2 batters against my pitchers, and then I built the one hand build of the 5-man stack against Milwaukee, or for Milwaukee against St. Louis.
Right. Very good.
I'll just also add that outside of Sonny Gray, like we expect these pitchers to give up some runs. Like,
yeah,
I don't think we're expecting anybody to go 5 clean innings even outside of Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
So totally fine to use 2 batters.
Jason saying, "Hey, my kids are melting down." Also, #dad life. I feel it. I'm there with that. Yeah, it's full on chaos outside. We've answered all the questions. We've given all the info. I think we're going to bounce on out of here. For TJ, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.